Shalom, I am Rabbi Shaui Praver. You're watching Rabbi Rock. Today we're going to talk about a very important subject, energy. Maybe you've seen a commercial. A van goes up to a red light. It has all of these stickers on it. Save the earth, save the whales, green power. But its exhaust pipe is spewing out exhaust into the air. And then right behind it comes a hybrid car, scoots right next to it, stops at the red light, the light turns green, and the hybrid speeds ahead of it, and then the narrator says, which one is really clean on the inside and the outside? We hear lots of different things about what we need to do for our energy. We hear different kinds of alternative energies. Some of it is solar, some of it is wind power, hydrothermic, all kinds of different things we hear in the marketplace of ideas. But which one really is going to work? Which one is really clean on the inside? We've come to a time where energy will probably be the issue that gets the next person elected as the President of the United States. We've come to the time. Energy is coming to the front burner, so to speak, of American politics. Just like President Kennedy inspired our nation with a vision of putting a man on the moon in the 1960s, we need a president, a leader that is going to inspire our country with a comprehensive energy plan that makes sense and will make us independent. And today we have the great pleasure of having Dr. Frederick Leder, an expert. He has conducted and directed research in the energy industry for 30 years, having held the position of Vice President, City Service, Research and Development Incorporated, Director of Research, City Service, Oil and Gas Corporation, Director of Energy Research, Director of Exploratory New Ventures and Minerals Research, Occidental Research Corporation. He has been responsible for strategic planning for corporate research at Exxon Research and Engineering Company and at Occidental Petroleum. He holds a bachelor's degree from Columbia University School of Engineering and a master's degree and a PhD degree from Yale University School of Graduate Studies. We are very fortunate to have with us today Dr. Fred Leder. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about your research.
Well, over the years, I've studied the physics of fluids under pressure and the chemistry of conversion of resources like shale and coal into liquid hydrocarbons for fuels. I've worked on gas separations, on reservoir engineering, on geothermal energy. I've authored 37 papers, presentations, and U.S. patents. I've worked on the Department of Energy Task Force on Fossil Energy, on the National Research Council Committee on Energy and Natural Resources, and was at one time advisor to the Department of Chemical Engineering at Tulsa University in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Fabulous. Can you give us a brief history of the energy industry with emphasis on the link between energy and economic growth?
The story starts about 300 years ago. In the year 1712, as the records have noted it, a man by the name of Thomas Newcomen invented a heat engine. So the question might be, what's a heat engine and why do I care? A heat engine converts heat into work. Now, in the 30,000-year history of human beings on this planet, no one had ever built a machine to convert heat into physical work. There were machines. The Romans had machines, the Greeks had machines, but they were built on leverage and they just multiplied one force into another force. No one had learned how to convert heat, which really is what a heat engine does. You burn fuel to make heat, and you use that to drive force, to create work. So with this engine, you now have no need for slaves. You have no need for draft animals. You have, and besides, what horse can go 60 miles an hour for 10 hours? And what horse can fly across the ocean? So you have the basis of the Industrial Revolution.
Right.
Okay? This is the beginning of everything that we take for granted in the way of an industrial economy.
Yes.
It's the use of heat. In this particular instance, Newcomen's engine burned coal to raise steam. And the steam drove a piston through a series of complicated valves back and forth to do work. The credit many people give to James Watt, whose invention came later in the same century. He apparently had a better design, and he was recognized as the inventor of the steam engine. But the fundamental invention, the fundamental heat engine, was Newcomen about 300 years ago.
1710, wow.
Now, by 1830, Robert Fulton had figured out how to put one in a ship. And in fact, there's a story going around, which may be apocryphal, that Fulton approached Napoleon and said, I could take you across the English Channel in 1 hour with no concern about wind. Would you fund my invention? And apparently Napoleon said no. But this is the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. This is how, and these early inventions were used to pump water out of coal mines, and they facilitated deep mining of coal in Great Britain. That was the first application of the steam engine. It made Great Britain a pioneer in the energy field, which was driven by coal at that, in the 18th century. Oil was discovered petroleum was discovered in Pennsylvania, in Titusville, around 1850. It's not the first use of oil. There was whale oil 100 years earlier, but it was used for heating and some lighting.
Yes.
It was not used for machinery.
Yeah.
It was not used to drive manufacturing. It was not used for transportation. That hadn't been invented.
Yeah.
The wells in Pennsylvania produced about 50 barrels a day. Well, a barrel is 42 gallons, so you could fill up your car 2 or 3 times on a barrel of oil. Okay, so you can imagine 50 barrels a day is a modest amount of oil. Oil was discovered roughly the same time in the Caucasus, near the Caspian Sea, and those were big wells. They were producing 1,000 barrels a day. So, and that began to impact these engines. The engines began to be adapted to the use of petroleum. In 1901, there was a crazy fellow by the name of Dad Joyner, who had the idea that a new technology called rotary drilling might apply to a hill outside Beaumont, Texas, near Houston, called Spindletop. And he drilled persistently in Spindletop.
Was it called Spindletop before?
It was called Spindletop. And it reminds you of a derrick,
Yeah.
but no, I think the name was Spindletop before the derrick was put there. One morning, not long after the turn of the year, 1901, there was a report of a horrible screeching sound such as no one had heard before. Hundreds of feet of drill pipe were blasted up into the air. There was a shower of oil and gas over this whole area. And by the time it was capped and controlled, it was producing, by some reckoning, 100,000 barrels a day.